Hello and welcome to Michael's Minty Music for today. Today we are reviewing Night Visions by Imagine Dragons. It's their first album. Came out September 4th, 2012, meaning that it hit its 10-year anniversary just a few days ago. And they're releasing a 10th anniversary edition this Friday with two demo tracks that weren't on it, that have never been heard before, basically. This album launched their career, and for good reason. It's pretty good. This is the track listing for the standard edition, although, as I've hinted to a little bit, there were many different bonus tracks based on basically which retailer you got it through, um, like Target versus Walmart versus iTunes versus Spotify. So there's like 6 or 7 different versions of this album. If you're interested, look up the Wikipedia article. It goes through every one of them. Um, I'm not gonna go into any of the bonus tracks, but if you like the main album, you probably appreciate some of the bonus stuff. Some of it's pretty good, but a lot of it is stuff that they had released before releasing their first album as like EPs, which is a complicated thing that I'm not going to go into. These are the tracks I added to my playlist. So as you can see, almost all of them except Hear Me and Every Night. And I think they're still pretty decent songs. They're just a little bit less good than the rest of the album. The standard edition of the album flows pretty well, and it helps that, pretty much all the songs are good. It does have a little bit of a sort of generic feeling to it because they don't really do anything uh, in terms of track listing that would make it stand out. Really, they're banking on the fact that all of the songs are pretty good, and all of the songs are pretty good. So, technically, the only single from the album is "It's Time," but a lot of the songs had been released beforehand. Basically, the first half of the album has been released had been released as an EP from like 2011 to early 2012. So a lot of these songs were not technically new at the time, but they were new for a lot of people because a lot of people hadn't heard Imagine Dragons until after this album came out. My favorite song here is probably "On Top of the World." In regards to this, just the standard edition songs. Although I do enjoy Underdog and Nothing Left to Say Rocks. This one's technically 2 songs. Of the two, honestly, I don't really think you can separate the two. They flow really like spectacularly into each other, and you really can't do just one or the other. Although they have in recent years split them up, unfortunately. So I rank this album second out of all Imagine Dragons albums, just under Evolve, because I like Evolve's songs more, just a little bit more, and I think Evolve comes together a little bit better in terms of track listing. Um, as I've stated, Night Visions kind of is more generic, but all the songs are good, so it's still. So it is my favorite album from 2012. It beats out California 37 by Train, The Truth About Love by Pink, and Red by Taylor Swift. California 37 is a pretty good album, but it's not as good as it's not like an amazing album, which I do think Night Vision's right. Every song on this album is good, so that's pretty amazing album. Um, the real competition here comes from Red, which is my favorite Taylor Swift album, but it really just comes down to me liking Imagine Dragons more than Taylor Swift in general. So, and I mean, I grew up listening to this album. I really like this album. So, Night Visions is going to take the top slot here. All right, so next up, I will be reviewing the first Maroon 5 album, Songs About Jane, released in 2002. I've heard this is their best album, so I'm pretty excited. Stay tuned for that.